Hello everyone. This is Geoff with Fluent American checking in. And today I'm going to be doing an outline of an essay or brainstorming, basically all the beginning steps when you see your task 2 and you need to decide, how am I going to approach this? What is the best way? So we're going to take a look at this together. I just sent the link so you can follow along in the document. And as always, if you have questions or things that you're not sure about, or you just want to clarify on, some clarification on, feel free to leave some notes or messages in the chat, and I'll try to explain as best as I can. Okay. So this is a task that I found from a recent test. So it says school should not be necessary since students can learn from home. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So slightly modified from a recent test. So before I actually start talking about the steps I would use, some things to consider. My general writing process. What I normally suggest is starting with a brainstorm, followed by an outline. Then you would actually do your writing. And then the last step would be revising or some revision. In terms of time for these steps, I would suggest 1 to 2 minutes for your brainstorm. For the outline, I would spend about 5 to 7 minutes. The writing itself, I would spend about 20 to 25 minutes. And then the revision would be basically whatever time you have left. Okay, so these are my time estimates. These are the things I would consider, what I would do if I were taking the IELTS writing test. Okay, so we're going to be focusing today on these first 2 steps, the brainstorming and the outlining. Okay, so if you're familiar with these steps, great. If you're not familiar, then I definitely suggest becoming familiar because they can be extremely helpful for your writing. I don't know if it's happened to you where you're writing, and then you're like, I don't know what to say next, or, that's not really what I want to write, but you've already started, so you can't change it. This is a way to avoid those situations from happening. Okay, so if you have a proper brainstorm and have a proper outline, those things will not happen to you. Definitely not as often. All right. So brainstorm again for this question. So school should not be necessary since students can learn from home. Let's say I disagree with this. Okay. So the first thing when you're doing a brainstorm, first thing you need to do is pick your opinion, pick your side. So for instance, here we're going to pick disagree. And the second thing you need to do is create 4 reasons for your side. This is a brainstorm for to what extent do you agree or disagree. As I've said in previous essays, my suggestion for to what extent do you agree or disagree question is to try to pick one side. If you pick a side in the middle, it's very difficult for the examiner at times to know what your position is, and that's going to hurt your task achievement score. So to make sure that doesn't happen, my suggestion, pick one side. Now we need to think of 4 reasons for disagreeing. Okay, school should not be necessary, learn from home. So maybe, for instance, firstly, home has distractions that affect learning. It's a quick reason. Another reason is that there is less social interaction. School usually has social interaction. Notice I'm just writing ideas. I'm not explaining the ideas, not yet. Okay, the brainstorm, we're just coming up with ideas as quickly as we can. We can explain them later in the outline. You don't want to waste time explaining right now. Okay, so home has less distractions. There's less social interaction at home. Maybe less networking in terms of using teachers, administrators, maybe like for references later on. So for instance, when you apply to colleges or things like that, you may need to have people that you can refer to. And if you don't do that, then you have less of a reference. And we'll see if we can think of one more reason really quick. Let's see. Maybe, I don't know, like an opportunity to create a new routine, or get out of the house. I don't know. The key thing with the brainstorm is just coming up with ideas. They don't have to be great ideas. It's just things to consider. What happens if, let's say, we get two ideas, let's say like these two ideas, and then we're like, oh, I'm stuck. I don't know what else to say. Well, if that happens, then my suggestion would be to try the other side. Okay. So we already picked the disagree side. Let's see what happens if we pick the agree side. Okay. So let's try agree. Okay. Same idea. Let's try to come up with 4 reasons. Okay. So, for instance, first reason is save time. So, for instance, drive to school, drive or walk or bus ride to school. Second thing is that perhaps you could have more flexible schedules, especially if you're learning remotely, things like that. Okay. A third thing, let's see if we can at least get 3 for this before we move on. So it saves time, more flexible schedules. Oh, now I'm actually thinking of another reason too. Is that you don't have to worry about network problems. For the agree side, but anyways, for the disagree side. For the agree side, let's try to think of one more. So you can save time. You don't have to commute, basically, or get to school. You have a more flexible schedule. Maybe even like access to a wider range of resources than just a textbook and a teacher. Okay, so I'll just stop there for now for this idea. Great. Okay, so this should give you a quick idea of what we mean when we say brainstorm. Again, you're just generating ideas. You don't need to explain just yet. Save that for the next step. Right now, we're just trying to come up with ideas. Okay. I'm going to go down to the next page where we'll talk about an outline. Okay, so what is an outline? An outline is a plan. Specifically for our purposes, we're going to be focused on body paragraphs. Okay. So again, your typical IELTS essay structure, you have an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Your body paragraphs are the most important paragraphs of your essay because that is where your argument is. That's your argumentation and that's your development. So we want to make sure that these paragraphs are strong. Okay. The general structure for body paragraphs that I suggest is to start off with the topic sentence to identify what the whole paragraph is about and also connect the paragraph to the question. Body paragraph always needs to be aware of what the question is that we're actually answering. After that, you need to have a main idea. The main idea explains one part of the topic sentence. Lastly, you have details. Your detail proves or shows why the main idea is important. Your detail is taking your main idea and talking about not only why is it true, but also why is it important? Why are you telling the reader this information? Okay. When you're doing your writing, the most important question you can ask yourself is, so what? Why should the reader care about what you're writing? Your detail is your opportunity to do just that. Make the reader understand why what you're saying is important and crucial. Okay. So when we talk about outlines, these are the things we want to consider. Your outline structure, or the one that I suggest using, consists of topic sentence, an idea, detail, followed by another main idea, and then also followed by another detail. Every main idea needs a detail. I have never read an essay that had too many details. Okay, I haven't come across that yet. This is the area where students have the most difficulty. Their details are usually poor. Okay, people are great at giving ideas, but they struggle to explain why their ideas are important. I don't want you to have that problem on the test. All right, your topic sentences should be easy. Your topic sentence is you go back to your brainstorm and you pick the idea or ideas that are easiest to write about. So if you're doing 2 body paragraphs, you need to pick 2 ideas. Again, we're picking disagree. So let's say distractions that affect learning. Use that one. And then maybe less social interaction at home. The reason why we made 4 ideas in our brainstorm was that if we don't like one of our ideas, we can switch. We can use a different one. Okay, you want to have options. If you only have 2 ideas, then you don't have any options for your paragraphs. Okay, you need 2 body paragraphs. So if you only have 2 ideas, you have to write about those 2 ideas. Not a great option. Okay, so we have 5 here. So by having 5, I can pick the 2 that I feel more comfortable with. It gives me more of a choice. Okay, let's say that we pick there's distractions at home. Okay. All right. So topic sentence referring to the question, school should not be necessary since students come from home. So maybe school continues to be necessary. This is in reference to our question. Okay, so we're referring back to the question. School is necessary. School continues to be necessary because learning from home or like other environments, learning in other environments has too many distractions. So again, we just took one of our main ideas that we had from above. One of these ideas that we had from above in our brainstorm, and now we made it into our topic sentence. So school continues to be necessary because learning in other environments has too many distractions. Okay. Now I need to think of 2 reasons to support this. So firstly, let's say students who study at home have access to a wide variety of forms of entertainment. Okay. When you're making your main ideas and your topic sentences, you don't need to make complete sentences. I just did here, but maybe for instance, for my detail, just to give you an example, you can just write keywords. So for instance, you could write TV, other websites, cell phones, snacks in the kitchen, other books, things like that. Windows, the list goes on and on. Okay, these are all things that that students may be distracted by if they stay at home. Okay. We need one more main idea. Okay. So let's maybe look at the other side. Let's compare that with school. Schools can limit these obstacles. Steal attention away. It's like teachers are in person, and again, I'll just use some quick keywords here to just get the idea across. Again, your outline, you're working quickly, so you may not have time to write the full sentence. So you have teachers in person, you have administrators, you have maybe there's even like peer pressure, social pressure from those around you to kind of stay more focused. maybe ideally, if they're not distracting you. And maybe like a new environment, like for instance, state-dependent learning. If you're not familiar with what state-dependent learning is, consider that I don't know, there are studies and things that show that if you sit in a certain seat in a classroom every day for a year and you take a test, it's better if you take that test in that seat where you always were, because for whatever reason, your mind just, all the associations are there, and students tend to perform better in that way. Okay, so if you're not familiar with that, it's definitely interesting stuff and things you should do some research on. So at least I think it's interesting. Yeah, great. Okay, so again, this is a very basic outline structure for one body paragraph. I would have to do this again for a second topic sentence. So for instance, here I have less social interaction at home. That I would probably write about for my next one. But this at least gives you an idea of how I prepare writing. If I have to organize like the research paper or any type of academic writing, this is the type of outline that I personally use, and I've had a lot of success with it for students. So I hope it can be helpful for you as well. All right. If you have other questions or comments or things about this or anything else related to IELTS writing, be sure to send me a message or leave a comment, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a good day, night, and afternoon. Take care.